Hi, it's Yvonne Hallen here from bedandbreakfastcoach.com, and today I'm interviewing someone who's not a B&B or a guest house owner. So about 10 years ago, when my entrepreneurial journey was just starting, I began to become aware of just how my personal operating system affects everything that happens in my business and even in my life as well. And back then, I'd never really even thought about this before, and I had no idea how much impact just knowing that would have on my business and my life to this day. And I came to understand that the more that we know about ourselves, the more that we can make better decisions for ourselves on what we say yes to, and probably more importantly, what we say no to, and then who we need around us to make things work. And this is still an ongoing process for me, but as I live and work by what I found out about myself 10 years ago, life just becomes more relaxed, more productive, and more fun. So if you're like me and you've been through any version of the British education system, you'll know that we're told that we have to be an all-rounder, good at everything. And we seem to spend more time at school trying to improve our weak areas and spend virtually no time at all becoming a genius in our strong areas. It's just not the way it's done. So when I found out what my guest is going to talk to us about today, it was like something went off in my head and I thought, oh, so there's nothing wrong with me after all. The thing that started my journey of self-discovery was wealth dynamics. And I recently had a call with wealth dynamics expert Karen, which gave me so much clarity and focus, and I wanted to share her with you. So let me introduce you now to my guest today, wealth dynamics expert Karen Ravel. Good morning.
Hello, Yvonne.
So Karen, can you just first of all tell us a bit about yourself, how you became a wealth dynamics expert?
Yeah, sure. My background is a traditional corporate professional career route. I trained as an accountant and went into actually the financial services industry and worked there for over 20 years, climbing the ladder. But as I managed more people, I really enjoyed that side of my work, and I ended up leaving my job. I trained as a performance coach and an executive coach, and it was really to help other leaders manage their careers better. Trying to manage that climbing the ladder and a bit more work-life balance, which didn't seem to happen for me. But what I really found was I really enjoyed working with people and understanding what made them tick, what was their strengths, their talents, and how they used that. And I moved more into career change, helping people find work that they love, that really lights them up. However, at the same time, when I was out networking as a business owner, I found that more and more small business owners were coming to me to ask me for business advice, which was a bit strange really, because I wasn't putting myself out there like that. But they obviously saw something in me, even though I wasn't actively marketing that. So now it seems to me to be a natural progression to marry the two together, working with business owners and helping them work to their natural strengths and talents. And Wealth Dynamics is one of the tools I use to help with that, because I find as a tool it's very easy for people to understand, but at the same time, not only does it help people understand their strengths and how to play to them, but it also helps you as a business owner to really make the best of your business through that. So that's why I use Wealth Dynamics.
Wow. And so why is this? Why is it important? Explain a little bit about what it is and why it's important.
Okay, well, the key thing is we all achieve success in different ways. If you think back to when you was at school, you mentioned it earlier, if you think back to then, some of us are better at maths and others are better at languages. Some of us are good at science, some are good at sport. You know, none of us, right from an early age, we're not good at everything. Yeah, in school we get taught, or we get told, that if we're not good, we must try harder. You know those school reports. um,
Could do better, yeah.
yeah, that's it. Absolutely. Yeah, had a few of those. But then when we go into jobs, if we go into working for other people, again, to get on, we're often told, oh, you need to pull up in this area, work harder in that area. And the thing is, I mean, I'm guilty of this. You learn lots of skills and that because you think it's you growing and expanding, and there is an element of that. But actually, what we are ending up doing is we're all becoming not good all-rounders, but average all-rounders, because you're just spreading yourself too thin. You're learning lots of different things, and you're not actually playing to your natural strengths. Yeah, if you look at really successful people, they understand what their natural talents are and what they're really good at, and that's what they focus on. And then they get people around them, they build a team around them for people who can use their natural strengths to support them in the areas that they're most challenged. So I think that's the key, really, is the fact that we're really all geared up differently. We've all got our own talents, and we should really focus on that. So it is about being a successful achiever rather than an average all-rounder. But also, when you play to your strengths, what you'll find is you get into the state we call flow, which is where things just come really easily to you, that you're in that place where time doesn't matter, you're just totally engrossed in something, and it becomes really effortless for you to do a particular task or something, a project that you're working on, because you really are just so absorbed by what you're doing. And you may have challenges, but you actually rise to those challenges because you don't feel that you're really, it doesn't feel stressful in a way. You actually kind of feel quite energized by doing those things. And like I say, this is what we call flow. It's our path of least resistance. And if you think of a river running down from a mountain top, it's going to meander through. It's not going to go in this nice straight line from the top to the bottom. It's going to meander through, but it's finding its path of least resistance, the way the easiest path for it to flow. And that's exactly what we want to find for each of us, is what is our path of least resistance to success.
Okay, so can you explain about the dynamics of it? So like the different what's the word? The different kind of points of it, if you like, and what it like. Yeah, go.
Okay. Well, wealth dynamics is basically a profiling tool, and we have 4 different energies, and these are made up of 2 dynamics, a thinking dynamic and an action dynamic. And if you think, the thinking dynamic is all about how we take in information from the world around us. So we have 2 opposites there. We have what we call dynamo energy, which is really intuitive, very creative, very fast-paced dynamo energy, really bam, 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 wants to get things done, quite impatient, really. But these people, like I say, full of ideas, a lot of creativity, often described as head in the clouds people. The opposite of that is the tempo energy. Now, the tempo energy people are very grounded, a lot more slower paced, very sensory, taking information about the world literally from everything they sense around them. It's like they've got their ear to the ground. And if you think about dynamo people, these are often people with a lot of depth of vision. They're like up in a helicopter, seeing all around them, seeing the landscape, and they can see a long way into the distance. Whereas a tempo person has a real breadth of vision. they're down on the ground, they're sensing everything that's going on around them. They can see every little nook and cranny, and really find the way of the land. So we all have a bit of each of those dynamics in us, those frequencies. But it's actually understanding which one we have more of, and how much, to what extent we are one or the other of those. The second dynamic is our action dynamic. So this is all about how we make decisions and get into action. So again, we've got two opposites here. We've got our blaze energy and our still energy. Now, blaze energy is very extroverted. It's a party person. They love to be around people. You'll always find them in the center of the conversation. They're very bubbly, excitable. They're all about people and feelings, and they'll go to people very quickly. Still energy, on the other hand, is very introvert, lot more depth in terms of their thinking. They're very much about facts and systems and processes, and they'll turn to that for making decisions more quickly than they would to people. So again, you can see there's two opposites there. Likewise, we've all got an element of both of those in us. And so basically we've got these two dynamics going on, and this creates a square which gives us 8 different profiles. And I think the best way to do this, I'm going to hold this up, but let's see. Tell me if you can see this.
Just take it. That's perfect. Just hold it there. We can see all 8. Just a little bit further back. Yeah, I can see all 8 of them now. Yeah.
Okay. So what we can see is along the top we've got the dynamo energy, and that gives rise to 3 different profiles: the mechanic, creator, and star, versus the tempo energy down the bottom, which is the accumulator, trader, and deal maker. Mm-hmm. And then, as I said, we have the action dynamic on either side. So we've got the steel energy, which again is the mechanic, the accumulator, and the lord. And then we've got the blaze energy, which is the star, supporter, and deal maker. Now, when you take your wealth dynamics profile, you actually get a graph that actually plots out exactly where you fit on this, and it actually shows you how much of each energy. So you'd get a graph that kind of maps out where you are. And by understanding that, it's going to give you your most dominant profile, so you can understand very much what are your strengths, what are your energies, what frequencies, what percentage of frequencies you have. And profiles have particular strengths. And what we can do is we can also look at other people, other successful people, and learn from them about how they've built their success to, to mirror those and to work to them. Because there's no point trying to emulate someone who's got a completely different profile to you, because it's just not going to work. You're going to struggle with it. And like I say, it's like going back to school and you trying to do science when that's not your subject. You're much better at languages or whatever. So it really is about finding people to emulate that you have very similar strengths to. It is also about understanding, especially as you grow a business, understanding how to play to your strengths and bringing in people around you that will support you. So quite often we are attracted to like-minded people, and we can find people who are very much like us. But if we try and bring them into our business, actually we just end up competing against them because we're all trying to do the same things, and it's not going to work. So if you think of a sports team, like a football team or something, you've got different positions for people for you to achieve success as a team. You need people in all of those different positions for you to have the best chance of winning. And it's exactly the same in your business, that you need people in to support you that can play different roles to what you do. Mm. That makes sense.
No, it totally makes sense. I think it was, I mean, just going back to what you were saying about recognizing who you are and what your strengths are is just something that we're not taught at school. And often I think we go out into the workplace and, you know, we don't really know what value we can offer. And I think some, was it Einstein that says if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll spend its whole life thinking it's stupid.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of us, well, certainly in my case, you know, like you say, you acquire skills, but it's not really, those skills might not be playing to your strengths. So it's like those 4 squares of, you know, unconsciously incompetent and unconsciously competent, and you know, I can't remember who did that either, but I think self-knowledge is just so important, because we often think that because we can't behave and we can't do like someone else, then we're no good.
Yeah.
And actually I think that person that we're looking at could be a completely different profile to us, or have completely different strengths, and what they're doing is playing to their strengths. And like you say, when we try to emulate that, it's just not going to work. So can you give us some examples of people, successful people who have become successful because they're in their strengths?
Yeah, I can. But actually, Yvonne, can I just pick you up on something there you mentioned as well, which I think is really important, especially to business owners. You talked about the value that we give in our businesses, and I think that's really important, and this is where I think wealth dynamics comes into its own. It's not just about understanding ourselves, but this is very much about our customers are going to come back to us if they trust us, and they're only going to trust us, or you know, us as an individual or our business, if they value us. And to create that level of trust, you have to perform well at a high standard consistently. You have to deliver a consistent standard. And I think when we work to our strengths, that's what we can maintain. We can consistently deliver a high, you know, we're all intelligent people. We can work hard and we can deliver something to a high standard once or twice, but to do it consistently, that is where you need to be playing to your strengths and get into that place of flow. So I think that's why it's really important in business to understand this, is that your customers are actually going to trust you more and then come back to you for more business when you play to your strengths, because you can consistently deliver a high standards to them. And also, it's important to understand that this is what makes your business different to the next person's who's, you know, another bed and breakfast, because you're working to your strengths and you're going to attract the people who like your style, the way you do things. So yeah, absolutely. You know, it's really important to understand that this isn't just about learning for yourself to grow. It is a really important business tool as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's all about knowing your value, and that's really what we're talking about, knowing what your value is and then leading with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so yeah, you mentioned about some of the profiles. I mean, I can give you some examples of some very successful people out there, because that's who we can relate to. So, I mean, if you think of someone like Richard Branson, now he is a typical creator, which was right at the top up here.
Dynamo energy.
Yes. Dynamo energy, but also someone really creative, that's why it's called the creator, full of ideas, just constantly coming up with new ideas. Now, how Richard Branson plays to his strengths is that he starts off businesses. He'll get people together, he'll start the business, he has the initial concept, but he has said the first thing he does is recruit someone in who can run the business for him, because he knows he can't deal with the day-to-day ongoing management of the business. And of course, if you think about Virgin and all the different businesses he's created, there's absolutely no way he could run all of those on a day-to-day basis. So for him, he knows that where his strength lies is coming up with the concept and getting the project, the business off the ground. But once that's done, he's better off moving on to his next project and letting someone else run that. If you think of someone like John Rockefeller, now he was a lord. That's very much a steel energy. Now he built his wealth by actually controlling all the assets. So he controlled all the assets in the supply chain of the oil. So he was very detailed, wanted to know everything that's going on, not just in his business, but like I say, the whole supply chain from beginning to end. And that's how he's built his wealth. If you take someone like Warren Buffett, he's an accumulator, and he's built his wealth by accumulating assets. And if you see his style, he wasn't really a trader dealing, buying and selling stocks and shares. He would actually do a lot of research into the stocks that he wanted to buy, the companies, and then buy into them and hold them for the long term, and then see how they appreciated in wealth. Another example would be Oprah Winfrey. She's a star profile. Now, her strength lies on focusing, shining a light on people, or it could be, for other stars, it could be for a service or a brand. But although Oprah is very famous, and we think of her as a star, but actually if you look at what she's doing, she's focusing, shining the light on other people. And that's what stars. So there's just a few examples of how really successful people have built their wealth and their success, but they've done it in completely different ways, and they're all playing to their individual strengths.
So you, for example, you'd never see Warren Buffett hosting a talk show.
No, exactly.
And you'd never see Oprah Winfrey recommending stocks.
No. And it's not just because of the topic, you know, it's not like you know, you're doing bed and breakfast and someone else is doing a completely different type of running a high-level hotel or something. It's not about what you're doing, it's about the way you're doing it. And that's the really important thing. You know, we can all have our own passions, that's another aspect, what we really love, but it's the way you play to your strengths, and that's what I was saying earlier. That's another, you know, you against your competition, because the way you play to your strengths will be different to the next person, and that comes across in the whole brand and what you offer in your business.
Wow, fascinating, Karen. That's really fascinating. So if somebody is hearing this for the first time and they wanted to know more, where can we find out more?
Okay, well, you can come to my website, and you can take a profile test there, and I offer a debrief with that. So because although you get a comprehensive report with the Wealth Dynamics test, I think for it to really come alive and understand how you can implement that and make the best of it for your business, the debrief really works. So you can come to my website, which is KarenRevell.com. That's Revell spelled R-E-V-E-L-L, and that's /find-your-flow.
Wow. So I'll put a link to that in the description box underneath this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll find the link to Karen's website and how to take your profile test in the box below. So anything else you'd like to say, Karen?
I think it is just the fact that, you know, really don't feel that you have to push and strive so hard. There is a natural way for you to do what you're doing, and the more you focus on that, the easier it becomes and the more successful you'll become as well, which is great to know, isn't it?
It's music to my ears. And when I first learned about this, 10 years ago, I can't tell you just how relieved I felt about finding out who I was.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing process, though. I'm still not where I want to be in terms of, the people that I have around me, but it's just an awareness that I have on an ongoing basis, and it's really about when you know what your strengths are, you know how you operate, basically, you can play to those strengths, and then you can take a step back and think, well, who do I need? Because that's the other thing, isn't it? Knowing who you need around you. So, for example, I think, isn't there some kind of formula around the square that, the best people to have in your business, obviously you can't just go on profiles because there's character and personality involved as well. But just, I know who I need around me in my team, and I know that if I go for somebody like me that you alluded to earlier, and I have done that in the past, it just doesn't work. Even though we get on famously, as friends in a business, it doesn't work.
Yeah. What we normally say in Wealth Dynamics is the first person to bring into a team is someone 3 profiles round from you. So if I go back to this, and, if you're a creator, you would then go 3, oops, I'm going the wrong way. 1, 2, 3, I'm doing it backwards. So you would come down to a deal maker would be the best person to support you, first of all. So as a creator, you've got the ideas. A deal maker is someone who's got a huge contact list and going to bring the right people to you. And then after that, it's another 2 around. So in the case of a creator, it would be an accumulator, which again is someone who's a great project manager, gets into the detail, gets things done, whereas creator's the starter, the accumulator is going to get something done. And depending where your profile is, that's the best way. So going clockwise, 3 and then a further 2. But ultimately, you want to build, depending on how big your business grows, you might want one of each of those profiles into your team. Like I said, it's a bit like a football team. You need people filling all the positions. And also, I think when you do recruit, as I said earlier, you tend to go for people you're naturally drawn to, which could be a similar profile. All you'll end up doing is competing against each other. When you get someone in who has a different strength to you, sometimes there can be a little tension. You have to understand how profile works as well, because if, again, Yvonne, I know you're a creator profile. I'm actually a trader profile, so we're complete opposites. So there could be tension because you're a real dynamo energy. You want to get things done and out there, and if people don't do things as quickly as you get bored, you're going to move on to the next thing. A tempo energy is going to really slow you down and say, oh no, let's think about this, and let's make sure that we get it done at the right pace, get the right people in, the right systems in. You'll probably get frustrated with that, but actually it's exactly what you need in order to move your business forward. So you have to be aware of all the profiles, I think, to really build your team to make it work. Otherwise you're just thinking, why are these people not doing something that should take 5 minutes? Likewise, they'll be thinking, oh my god, they're coming out with something else and I haven't even done this yet. So it's actually understanding the strengths of everyone as you build a team, rather than just focusing on your own strengths.
And this works in families too, right?
Yes. Absolutely. Yes.
It works everywhere, in fact. It works in any environment, in any situation, but we are primarily concerned with business. Karen, thank you so much. That's so insightful, so useful. I'll put the link to your website and where people can take the Wealth Dynamics test. I would encourage everybody to do that test. You will find out so many things about yourself. And one of the things that I've often heard people say is that, oh, I did my test and actually it's not me.
Yes. And actually it's very common. People are either don't believe it's them, or I've also had people feel very disappointed with normally the label that's attached to the profile, which I must admit perhaps some of the labels could be a little bit better, but I think that's why I think the debrief is so important, because when we actually really dive down into it, most people are the profiles that have come out, and when you actually start like stripping away, I think this is another thing, is that because we're all very skillful, we learn a lot. Quite often we can be working on something that's playing to our skills but not our natural strengths, and we believe that that's our strengths, but when you actually really strip away the layers, you'll find that actually you might be off by one or two of the profiles, and when you move into that, you just find things so much easier. So yeah, absolutely, you don't always recognize it straight away.
Wonderful. Thanks again, Karen. As I say, I'll put the link below, and if you're watching this, wherever you're watching this on YouTube, you'll find the link below. I recommend that you take your profile test. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.